Have you ever been accused or caught horseplaying at work? I've seen so many memes on social media this week, I'd like to talk about that for a minute. So welcome back everyone, I'm Marty with Warehouse and Operations as a career. You know, my first trip to HR was over a bit of horseplay. Me and two others, we grabbed an inventory control guy and kind of shrink wrapped him to a support beam at the end of an aisle. We were on our way to lunch. I guess we assumed someone would come by and cut him loose. A bad assumption on our part, I guess. A cooler lead did walk by and cut him loose about halfway through lunch. To say the least, he was more than a little aggravated when he entered the break room. Now, we were all friends, though. He laughed it off, even bought us a few beverages after work that morning. I am still not sure how HR got involved, but thank goodness yes, it was only I, got called down to HR the next day. Anyway, I was extremely grateful I didn't lose my job over it. I myself got picked up and thrown down the dumpster chute. Aggravated didn't begin to describe my attitude once I climbed back up that nasty thing. I hate to admit it, but a couple of weeks later, I kind of seeked my revenge. There was a 4 1-gallon case of syrup that had gotten damaged over in the salvage area. I took that and a half bag of flour to the dumpster, made sure to cover every square inch of the chute, and plotted my revenge. Took me a few minutes. It was quite the playful scuffle, but my friend ended up in the chute, sliding all the way down to the bottom, cleaning up the syrup and flour as he slid down. Now, this was at the end of our shift, so I scooted on out the building. The next morning, everything was funny again, and he's been a lifelong friend still to this day. As an order selector, we used to use towvares and buggies back then. Anyway, one of the nightly pranks was to unhook the second buggy from the first and watch the selector take off down the aisle and having to walk back to get his second buggy. Oh, and during breaks, you never wanted to take off your freezer suit and leave it hanging on the equipment. Us freezer selectors would come back from breaks and lunch on more than one occasion only to find that our gear had been placed inside the freezer and was like ice when we were dressing back up. Now, I'm not proud of any of these pranks. I wish we were more mature than we were and that we had all the training that we get today. That was back before OSHA standards and really HR's involvement in operations. And I found a good definition at fs.illinois.edu, a Toolbox Talk article that gives us information. Ask, what is horseplay? Horseplay is rough or rowdy play or pranks that occur at the workplace. Horseplay can be activities such as joking that includes physical contact, playing around, racing, grabbing, foolish vehicle operation, social pressure to participate in unsafe acts, harassment, and unauthorized contest. Often, workplace horseplay incidents go unnoticed or are ignored as harmless fun. However, making horseplay a part of your workday may jeopardize your health and can lead to serious or deadly injuries. Each year, there are hundreds of injuries in the United States from pranks at work. Workplace horseplay incidents may lead to serious injuries at work, divide the workplace, and prevent employees from getting their jobs done. In some states, horseplay that results in injury can result in criminal prosecution. Courts have held that these injuries are not the result of an accident, but are deliberate acts. Now, I don't remember anyone ever getting upset to the point that fists flung, but I'm sure that it happened. Also, we live in a different environment or world today. Not only are we taught that horseplay will not be tolerated by our company, as the article stated, it may very well be against the law and we can be prosecuted for those bad acts. This week, I've seen a lot of memes floating around. A colleague and I were talking yesterday how so many of them involve just equipment these days. I loved one of them that we were looking at. A fork driver's peers took a roll, or several rolls of shrink wrap, and totally wrapped shut the driver's compartment. I wondered how many wraps around the lift that took and how much time was spent on a prank that could literally be cut and removed in under a minute. I had an employee, one of my employees at one of the facilities that I work with, dismissed this week for skateboarding a manual pallet jack. To make matters worse, he was actually assigned to the production area, where they don't even have manual jacks. He was caught on video skating the jack over in the warehouse. I don't know, maybe he was coming back from break or lunch, saw a jack, and for whatever reason got on it and skated it. As we all know, that's not allowed anywhere. It doesn't seem all that dangerous, but I could spend 10 minutes sharing broken bone stories about skating a jack. Thank goodness for the rules and laws regarding horseplay in the workplace today. I'm so thankful that I never hurt anyone or got hurt myself in my younger days. And thank goodness that our industry has grown so much in the last 20 years, especially in the safety arena. I, for one, appreciate the training we received today, and I hope we all realize the progress being made, and that we each do our part to act, think, and be safe at all times. We can save the playing around for the playgrounds with our kids. Anyway, enough of all that, I guess. You'd never be guilty of horseplay in the workplace anyway, right? So kind of changing the subject, I was asked, how do I start a plan for next year? I sat down to write out my plan and goals, and nothing came to mind. How do I get started? What's it supposed to look like? You know, that's a very good question. And there's not a right way or a wrong way to get started. Even if I try and separate my personal and professional goals, they somehow seem to intertwine themselves every year. So I find that I usually start out with my personal ones and see where that leads me. My advice would be to start with the obvious ones. Now, you can't write down to make $10,000 more next year without adding the steps that you'll need to take to get there. By the way, $10,000 is only $4.81 more cents an hour, and those are just regular hours throughout the work year. If overtime's involved, it even gets easier to earn that. That could be as simple as one promotion or one department transfer. Maybe going from a non-pit or powered industrial truck task to using some sort of equipment or an equipment position. Imagine the increase coming from, say, the restaurant service field into a sanitation or utility position, or a warehouse general labor job to a pallet runner. If you've listened to most of this year's programs, you already know how you can make those moves. Oh, and it's so important that we take advantage of any program that our company offers, whether through production incentives, 401k programs, or any kind of bonus opportunities. Picture this, and I don't know the exact formula that this facility uses, but here's a great example of just plain making money. An attendance program. If you are on time every day of the week, you can earn between $50 and $70 for that week. That's a possible $2,600 a year just for being on time. I can easily get up 15 minutes earlier than what I need to, knowing I'll make $50 more a week than I earn productivity-wise. With $2,600 on the table, out of around 15 people, there are usually only 3 to 6 of the employees that's earning it, and the others are only like 5 to 8 minutes late every day. Running 10 to 15 minutes earlier would put them all in the money. Now, not earning it is fine. It's not affecting their jobs or potential at all, but in my eyes, that's $1.25 more an hour, and is part of that $4.81 increase to get me that extra $10,000 that I'm wanting to make next year. Well, I got lost there again. Anyway, like I said, there's not a wrong way to start on our goals. I listed 3 things that I wanted to do next year. On my list, I wrote visit New York City. I have a friend that'll be giving her first TED Talk up there next year. What a great excuse to take a trip, right? And then I added a convention that I wanted to attend in Orlando, Florida, and added a new instructor certification or 2 I wanted to achieve under a education header. Of course, I'll need to pay for those trips and classes, so I started creating a spending budget. Now, next time I sit down to work on it, I already have 3 things to work off of. Try not to make it any harder than it is. It'll come to you, and you'll be surprised how easy the paths are to achieve each one of your goals. It is time to get started, though. Jot down some ideals today and come back to them in a day or so. I bet you'll already have some great ideas about how to achieve them. You know, last year about this time, we talked about how to save $1,378 using the 52-week money challenge. And I'll add that link in today's show notes again. I love this simple challenge, and it's so easy to do. We talked earlier about adding $5,000 to our end-of-year wages for this year. What did we figure that to be? What was that? $2.40 more an hour. I've heard from a lot of us that we achieved that. Now, yep, that is hard work. We may have had to change positions even, but you know what? We achieved it. Want to double that this year? $4.81 an hour is what we would need to increase our wage by. It's very doable. We'll just need to have a plan. I tell you what, I'll put together an episode on planning and goals real quick, kind of how to get started, if you will. Maybe I can get some help. I'll ask around and see what I can learn. If you have a time-honored and proved technique, please share it with the group. Send it over to host@warehouseandoperationsasacareer.com and we'll help you share it. I'm kind of excited to put something like this one together. Well, there's a few of my random thoughts for the week, and please take horseplay seriously. The equipment we operate can be dangerous. Treat it with respect. It will not be funny when someone gets hurt or we lose our positions. Until next week, be safe out there. Our families are waiting on us to get home.